All right, Miami Dolphin fans, how is everybody doing on this spectacular September 2nd? I'm here with my buddy Trey, and you can consider this our Miami Dolphins season preview. Now, before we get started, do me a favor, hit that subscribe button. This is a new channel for some of you that may be used to seeing me on the Flying Fluffy Hockey channel, which was Flying Fluffy Sports, which is now Flying Fluffy Hockey again. This is Flying Fluffy Football. So it looks like I only have 130 subscribers, which I only do, but I'm not a newcomer. I've been around the block more times than I care to talk about. So, Trey, how you doing, brother, man? It's been a little bit of time. I got a facial nerve TMJ. We were just talking about. I got things going on with my mouth. It's slowly getting better, and I just have to deal with it. But we'll let you talk. How you doing, man?
Good morning, Eric. I swear I'm not going to rip off Stu all the time. It's just fun to do it at the beginning. Welcome to Flying Fluffy Football, the #1 Doll fan podcast. All right, I'm done. Sorry, Stu. I'm a Stu fan, so like when I'm in this position to kind of parody him a bit, it's not disrespect. It is all fun.
Gotcha.
But no, I'm doing good. Trying to get through. We got through preseason, right? Now we're trying to get through our fantasy drafts. And
right.
I think I've gotten unscathed so far. I got one more left. And Now we get to the start of the regular season that we've all been waiting for.
Yeah, I didn't do fantasy this year. Every once in a while, I need to skip a year. My claim to fame, really, I should have just quit when this happened. My claim to fame fantasy football year-wise, and this is how long ago it was I set up to do a draft, and then I forgot about it, and my team auto-drafted. At some point after week 5, I'm like, that I logged into CBS Sports for some reason, and I'm like, that's right, I've got a team. I forgot the whole thing. And I was 0-5, right? And I started working the waiver wire, okay? And I kid you not, at the end of the year, I won the Super Bowl with Brian Greasy as my quarterback. Brian Greasy. Yes.
Wow.
Yes. Yes. So the point is if your season starts poorly, never give up. Now, this was so long ago that most people worked regular jobs. I was working at home doing eBay, so I was home all the time. So, man, when somebody waived I could work the waiver wire. There was nobody else that was home doing it. Not like now where everybody's got their phone and all of that you can't get an advantage. Yeah. But, yeah, I totally forgot all about fantasy. So.
Brian Greasy. You know, the funny thing about that is the weird thing about fantasy football is something that's complete opposite of real football is quarterbacks do not matter. In fantasy, They just don't.
No, you just need a good game. You just need one good game from whoever.
And everyone's stealing my idea now, drafting quarterbacks late. I always draft quarterback late just because somebody always drops. Like this year in the league, I got Kirk Cousins in round 9. I got Jalen Hurts around that same round last year. Of course, you can't do that late. Now. But the point is, someone always drops. Like last year, I drafted Hurts to be my backup to Stafford. That changed really quick. But someone always drops.
Yeah.
Now I see Portnoy's drafting Daniel Jones in round 10. Somebody else was doing. Y'all are stealing my ideas. I don't like it.
I get it.
I want credit at least.
I get it.
But yeah, quarterbacks don't matter in fantasy. That's
no
tip for everybody.
No. All right, so the Dolphins. Now we had a little bit of a preliminary discussion, so let's just start right off. I was disappointed that we didn't get Jonathan Taylor. You said you were okay with it. Now, in hindsight, when I heard what they were asking for, I still would have liked him on the team. But go ahead, give me your thoughts.
So yeah, we haven't exactly. We texted real quick, so we haven't exactly talked about the details until just now. So the recent developments I think you're alluding to, of course, everyone's going to say no go to that because they wanted Waddle, right?
Or Wilkins.
Yeah. So screw that. But and then the other recent development is now Jonathan Taylor's on the PUP list. So I'm going to give up Waddle for someone who's coming here on the PUP list. And then when he gets off the PUP list, he's a high-paid running back, and he's a receiver. He got about 40 catches the last time he played a full season, and Tua doesn't really care to throw to the running back. I love Tua, but that is one knock on him. He doesn't really care to do that. Now, if Derrick Henry was available, Derrick Henry, a lot like Adrian Peterson, he doesn't care to catch the ball. Right. That's a perfect running back for Tua.
Yeah.
But he's not available.
Right. Yeah, look, I got a really good kick out of it at on the back end after it. Poor Pat McAfee was trying to defend the Colts and saying that they weren't crazy to ask for Jalen Waddle because he's a second wide receiver. Bro, come on. Okay. That would be like calling, Tom Brady a backup quarterback if Marino was the starter. You know what I mean? It's like Jalen Waddle is not a number 2 wide receiver on just about every other team in the NFL.
Well, to turn it back on McAfee, if somebody had called the Colts back in the day when Marvin Harrison and Reggie Wayne were there, like, oh, give us Reggie Wayne. He's a number 2 wide receiver.
Yeah. Right. Exactly. Perfect. Perfect analogy there. All right. So the team that we do have, I'll give you. We'll go offense, then we'll go defense. So I'll start with the offense. Obviously, we know about the whole Tua thing. He's got to stay healthy. We've seen him do the rollouts, the judo rollouts that he's been learning about. Beautiful, perfect. I love it. The offensive line, you get a little queasy, and it's
2 guys down, and they're the 2 good ones.
It is such a. This is a good analogy for those of you who are Panther fans. The Dolphins' offensive line is like the Panthers' defense. Somehow they manage to get the job done, but when you look at the manner of which they get it done, and you look at some of the names, you kind of say, how? And then if anybody gets hurt, you're screwed. You see what I'm saying?
Well, yeah, like I said, I mean, the 2 last people you wanted to go down was Armstead and Connor, because it goes back to how it was before those guys got acquired, where Robert Hunt's the only credible lineman, and he's just okay.
Right.
He was by far the best lineman for a while, but he's just okay. We're kind of back to that. Now, Armstead says he's going to play week 1. Connor sounds like he's going to play week 1 as well. But it's still all just hearsay right now.
And the thing with Connor is stop snapping the ball over to his head.
Yeah.
He did it 2 more times this preseason. That's a concern.
Can we blame the injury?
Unfortunately not. Now, look, there's the good end, right? We've got receivers for Miles. Even though Jeff Wilson is on IR, we've got running backs for Miles. I've always liked Ahmed. I liked Gaskins, too. I thought he was good out of the backfield, but for whatever reason, they wanted to move on. I know Chris Brooks, A-Chain, those guys look good. And Mostert, I feel good about the running backs. To your point, the way we use them. Now, that was something that last year when I was doing the recaps, I would just be screaming. It's like you would watch the replay and Tua had to scramble or it was incomplete or whatever it was. And at least half of those replays, 5 yards off to the side, was a running back with the Miami Dolphins uniform on, with nobody around and nobody even coming close to paying attention to him.
Some quarterbacks have their places they like to throw to, and some don't. I mean, tight end's another one like that. There's some quarterbacks in the league where a tight end is their favorite target. Like, they literally call tight ends security blankets. And then there's some quarterbacks who don't really throw to the tight end. They don't.
Yep.
But that's why you have to have the right fit. I mean, trading for somebody like Jonathan Taylor it'd be kind of like trading for Austin Eckler. He's not as much of a receiver as Eckler, but it's the same. It's the same tools in the toolbox.
Right.
And that's just not the type of guy I would go for. It'd be somebody like Derrick Henry or Adrian Peterson in the past. But like you said, there's so many running backs with the Dolphins right now. You didn't even mention Devin Achane. I can't trade the assets that would be required. Even if let's say we went beyond that conversation with the Colts. They're like, okay, you're not getting Waddle, but let's actually meet in the middle here on something. I don't want to trade for somebody that's going to take up that much cap and get that much assets when there are so many dudes around.
Yeah.
I mean, even Ahmed, I texted you at, what was it, the second preseason game? Like,
yeah,
Ahmed's not getting cut. He's doing everything out here to not get cut.
Yeah.
And you have Mostert, you have Wilson. Like, this is the thing with running backs, right? This is why they're having the issue they're having right now is they want to get paid. Their bodies are being put on the line. They're right from their point of view. You know what I mean?
Sure.
Running back takes the most damage, except for maybe interior linemen, right?
Yeah.
But the other side is this chess match of salary cap football. I can win a Super Bowl without paying a running back. I just can.
Yeah. Well, and
if I can do that, I'm not going to overpay a running back.
Right. Well, when I wasn't doing videos or anything when this happened, but when they came out with the new salary structure, when the NFL came out, and it's based on years, right? You get so many years, and then you can have your 5th year option, and et cetera, et cetera. One of the things I said to one of my friends is like, that's not fair for certain positions, because like a quarterback could easily take you 4 or 5 years just to develop, to know whether or not you're really the guy. 4 or 5 years as a running back, dude, you're done. You've peaked. The number of running backs that go on to have a successful career in their 2nd contract, have their 5th year, it just doesn't happen all that often. And then usually those guys get a year, a couple years into that contract, and then they get hurt, and then the team that's stuck with them is. So I always kind of felt like maybe it should have been adjusted a little bit positionally, like maybe 3 years for running backs, 5 for quarterbacks, because like you said, running backs, not saying they're a dime a dozen, but there's a lot of guys with the skill set that you need now in the NFL, because you're not plowing into the line generally looking for 3 yards. And offensive coordinators are designing plays where you're still getting beat up, but you need to be able to keep your speed and agility with you.
The only thing I can think of to make it worthwhile, and this wouldn't even be on the league, so this is really just throwing shit at the wall and seeing what would stick. But kind of like what we were talking about in fantasy, where quarterbacks don't really matter, and coincidentally, it's the running backs that do matter.
Yeah.
Some of these guys' agents should be hitting up ESPN, FanDuel, DraftKings. They should be getting the quote-unquote quarterback money when it comes to these endorsements and fantasy. Because when you click on FanDuel's page, when you click on DraftKings page, Sleeper, whatever you're using, you want to see Austin Eckler on that front page. Like, you really don't care if Mahomes is on that front page or not. Because, like, whatever. He's a quarterback. Right. It's the reverse of fantasy in real life. I mean,
right.
And I'm sure, I haven't looked at it, I'm sure quarterbacks are still getting quarterback money on the endorsements, but really they should be getting, like, kicker money. I'm only slightly exaggerating.
So, offensively, obviously, the biggest thing, if Tua stays healthy. Now, somebody I forget who it was. I was watching. It was Chris Sims or Florio. They actually predicted that the Dolphins would win the division, the Jets would be 2, and the Bills would be 3. And one of the points, I think it was Chris Sims, made about the Dolphins and the offensive line is how McDaniel is a smart coach that knows how to hide the issues. And it's not entirely false, because I mean we did see a lot of times last year where pressures came. I mean, there were some bad moments, don't get me wrong, but there was a lot of times where instead of like trying to block an unblockable guy with the guy that's just not going to do the job, they're conceding that this guy is going to get free, and they're running a play that goes away from that guy. And I mean, it's not optimal, and we can still have the discussion of why in the hell Greer doesn't really address the line. But the Dolphins are like one of those teams, I think, that if everything goes right, I do think they could. I have a feeling Buffalo's going to fall off, so I do feel like the Dolphins can win the division. But in terms of the offense, top 5, Top.
Yeah. Oh,
I mean,
it's a machine.
yeah.
Like I feel I don't even entertain. Like I used to get so worked up and go in on people who would talk about Tua. I don't even entertain it anymore. The people who are talking about, oh, even when he's healthy, I don't like it because of the arm. I don't even entertain those people anymore. If you have an issue with Tua, there's only one you can possibly have, and it's durability. If you have that one, fine.
Right.
But yeah, if he's upright, this offense is top 3 for sure. Like, I will give you Kansas City, and maybe even not because, I'll still give you Kansas City. I don't like the receivers in Kansas City, but Travis Kelce, goddamn.
Yeah.
But it's top 3 for sure when it's all up and running. And Greer, I gotta defend Greer because, especially with this Jonathan Taylor stuff going on. So I know Dolphin fans like to hammer Greer. There's even a large contingency of Dolphin fans that want Greer to go.
Yeah.
I think that is Cocoa Puffs, to steal a quote from you. See, I'm not only ripping off Stu. So he doesn't hit on half of his first round picks. That sounds like everybody. Statistically, half your first round picks bust.
Right.
So cool. Then the other part of being a GM is trades, right? It's almost like the Tampa Bay Rays. If you are sitting at the trade table with Chris Greer, you've already lost the trade.
Right.
We're not waiting to the future to see if you've won or lost the trade. It's just like the Rays. We're waiting to the future to see how badly you lost this trade.
Right.
And people fire that guy?
Yeah, that's a bit extreme.
Fire Greer. He gets hired by a new team, and watch when he tries to make a trade with the Dolphins. See what Dolphins end up losing.
Right?
But I got to defend him on that. But if he hasn't gotten alignment, I'm going to just assume there's not alignment there. Or if there is alignment there, they want like Xavier Howard for him or some crazy absurd offer.
I mean, there's not an upgrade. There's other guys out there, but they got cut too. There's no Terrar and Armstead just sitting there going, "Hey, I'm free, I'm available." So I know. Go ahead.
I was gonna say, and he's not perfect. Like how stubborn he is with someone like Liam Eichenberg. You know what I mean? It's like, I know you don't want to admit you missed this pick, but like I just said, every GM like statistically misses half of their first round picks. Let this guy go.
Right.
So that's one thing. He is a little stubborn on the ones he wants, which I get that. I'm stubborn as hell too. So.
No, I get that. That was what I was going to say is with Eichenberg. It seems like Jackson's going to work out. Eichenberg can't stick anywhere. Apparently now he's our backup center. I made a video about that the other day. Bottom line with the offense, Tua stays healthy. If the wide receivers even stay remotely healthy, and the offensive line can even be just average, top 5 offense. So
I agree with that about the Jets too. I was thinking about that. I have not been concerned about the Dolphins as far as the Jets with all their new fancy upgrades because the Dolphins already lose to the Jets once a year. Like even when it's supposed to be a guaranteed sweep, the Dolphins will drop a game to the Jets. That's just how rivalries are.
Yep.
But it's good because now Buffalo's going to start losing to the Jets. Now New England's going to start losing to the Jets. They got the guaranteed sweep every year, but now they're going to start losing some games. So coincidentally, it actually could help us.
Yeah,
we were already going to lose a game to them.
I told Kyle that a long time ago because it was the Dolphins Jets game a few years ago, and I forget it was somebody was injured, and it was like they had like their 5th string quarterback out there, and I said, look, it's Dolphins Jets. It doesn't matter if I'm the quarterback and you're the quarterback. It's going to be close. It's going to come down to the end, and the next time we play, the other team's going to win. It doesn't matter. It didn't matter when it was Marino. It didn't matter when it was Jimmy. Don't matter. Dolphins Jets. It just is what it is. And that's fine. You need that. You know what I mean? You need that. So moving on to the defense now. Holy hell in a handbasket. It's a shame about Jalen Ramsey. We look okay. We got Cater. We've got the rookie Cam Smith, which, by the way, as an aside, we only had 4 draft picks this year, and we already lost 2 of them.
two of them look good, though. Well,
Yeah,
we lost it.
Cam Smith, Cam Smith looks good, and is it Brooks? I think he was a free agent, but the
Devin Achane was looking good until he got hurt.
Achane, that's the other. I think it was our fifth and our sixth, or our sixth and our seventh. I forget who it was. I had it all lined up in my head. Now it's gone. But the bottom line is that they didn't make the team. They got cut. We wanted to put them on the practice squad, and they got picked up elsewhere. So our draft class this year is 2.
That sounds like hockey a little bit.
A little bit.
You want to send this guy down to the AHL? You got to throw him on waivers.
Yep.
Oh, someone claimed him on waivers.
Yeah. Well, you
That,
see in the NHL, when you draft some guy, you can send him down when he's in his entry level, right? But in the NFL, apparently, there's no protection. It's not like we just drafted this guy, so we're gonna, there should be a waived. I guess it wouldn't matter. You can't move a guy straight. I assume you can't move a guy straight from the roster to the practice squad without waiving him. I get, and people can poach players off the practice squad anyway.
That's the thing.
Right.
I don't know if the waivers is necessarily like hockey, but I do know that second part. Yeah, if you're on the practice squad, like if Jaws is a receiver on the practice squad at any point, the team can come in and scoop you up. They're like, we had a receiver go down. Oh, there's that dude on the Dolphins. Let's go grab him.
And I think the rule is they have to play like 4 games or 2 games. They have to be on their active roster a certain length of time if you pick them up off the practice squad. But in terms of this defense, we can wiffle waffle about the lack of overt depth on the defensive line. That was one of the things I was a little bit concerned about, was that they were going to trade Agba for Taylor. The depth on defensive line is already a little bit less than we'd like. I think linebackers we're good at. Corner, eventually we'll get Ramsey back. Eventually we'll get Nick Needham back. But I still feel good about the guys that we've got. And then, of course, we traded Iggy. I don't even going to try to say his name because I never could say his name. I just called him Iggy. And so basically we took our draft bust and we traded it for their draft bust, and we switched corners. But I wouldn't put us in the top 5 category, but we're going to need to be top 10. If this defense can be top 10.
Even if it's the back end of the top 10, that's fine. I mean, honestly, I don't want to keep bringing it too far back, but even like 11 or 12, fine. Just be – with the offense they have out there, just be competent.
Well, everybody gives Skylar Thompson, and myself included, everybody gives Skylar Thompson grief because we almost won in Buffalo. We only needed a field goal. It's 4th down. Hill was wide open over the middle, and Skylar Thompson missed him. We lose the game, which is fine. But we had a 10-point lead in that game in the third quarter. And the defense blew it.
Relying on Skylar Thompson to get the job done there in Buffalo is kind of like counting on Nick Cousins to tap that goal in.
Oh, jeez. That's a really good analogy.
It sounds great on paper.
And every once in a while it might work.
On paper. And God damn it, if it had been Kachuk, it would have been simple. And if it had been Tua, it would have been simple.
Right.
One Kachuk. It was Skylar Thompson and Nick Cousins. Like, that's almost the same situation right there.
Good point.
I can't blame Skylar Thompson for losing by a field goal when I thought he was going to lose by 45.
Right.
I could be happy that he only lost by a field goal and be like, cool, I got a backup quarterback now.
Yeah. Exactly.
That's
exactly.
You don't get too high or too low. You don't start calling him QB1 just because he completed a pass. You don't say cut him just because we lost.
Well,
we got a solid backup. Great.
Dude, when Marino blew out his Achilles and Scott Mitchell came in and we were winning and we went to 9-2 with Scott Mitchell before he got hurt. And I believe after that, it was the Steve DeBerg show. But when Mitchell was tearing it up, there were fans. I would live down in Miami back then, and you'd call up WYOD and QAM, the sports talk. And the fans were like, trade Marino now while he's still worth something. Mitchell's going to be better.
That's how you end up with Dak Prescott on a max contract that you can't get rid of.
Yeah.
I will say that till the end of time. That is the biggest mistake Jerry Jones ever made, was not going back to Tony Romo when he was healthy. Yes, I'm about to defend Tony Romo here. Dak Prescott was a 4th-round project. He was compared to Tim Tebow even. And then he gets in there because Romo's hurt. They're like 8-1 or whatever, and they stay with him as the starter. They saw that they had the roster to go 8-1 with a 4th-round project rookie.
Right.
Nobody in that building stopped to think, goddamn, what would this team look like with a Pro Bowl quarterback? Man, like no one stopped to think of that. They're just like, oh, wow, 8-1. Later, Tony. See you later.
Yeah.
And now they're sitting here like, fuck, we need that guy from CBS back.
Well, they did get Trey Lance though now, so that there's
they did.
That. They did get Trey Lance. We'll see how that goes.
Colin Cowherd has been hammering Trey Lance, and it's hilarious because I don't know if Trey Lance is good or bad, right? I have not seen enough Trey Lance to make that claim. But I do know that Trey Lance was dating Colin Cowherd's daughter, and now he's not. And now Colin Cowherd says that dude's basically Baker Mayfield.
Look, when the team that drafted you in the 1st round gives up on you that soon and just basically throws you away, that's a big-ass red flag, okay?
Yeah, and everybody keeps harping. The funny thing is everybody keeps posting and harping on everything the Dolphins got.
Right.
Waddle, Hill, and Bradley Chubb. Oh, boy.
Right.
And from San Francisco's perspective, you see the people that they could have had. Like, they could have Micah Parsons right now with Nick Bosa.
Right. Yep. So, defensively, hopefully we get get Ramsey back when we need him for a playoff.
I don't want to see Eli Apple out there at all.
Oh, geez. No. Who we want to see out there, I don't know what Cam Smith's health is because I know he'd hurt his shoulder. If everybody's healthy, my pick anyway to take over for Ramsey is going to be Cater, because statistically he was one of the best corners last year in certain statistics, and this is a second. Cater. Yeah, so we should be good. He reminds me of Terrell Buckley.
Ooh, that's name fast.
Yeah, he reminds me of Terrell Buckley. I can't figure out why, but yeah. Exactly.
Beating the shit out of LSU today. I hope this doesn't age poorly.
Yeah, the Canes beat the shit out. Miami beat the crap out of Miami yesterday, so there was that.
Yeah. I'm gonna be so pissed if we lose today. Like I don't want to lose to Brian Kelly. I don't care if it's Notre Dame or LSU. I just don't want to lose to Brian Kelly.
Yeah, it's a little early in the season to start losing games. You know what I mean? That break a team in college. It's so much different, right? You know, and the pros are. And it's like week 1 in the AFC. Let's talk about this in a little bit. Week 1 AFC East. Dolphins are playing the Chargers, but then the Bills are playing the Jets on Monday night. Now, as a programming note, Kyle and I our first stream is Thursday night. We're streaming Thursday night football. We're streaming the Dolphin game on Sunday. We're streaming Sunday night football, and we're streaming Monday night football. So make sure you hit that subscribe button. But I was talking with Kyle about this morning. One of those teams, Bills Jets, going to start off the season 0-1.
They sure are.
And
I guess they could be 0-1.
Yeah, we talked about that too. Look, all I care about is we need to beat the Chargers, right?
Yeah, we need people to shut up about the whole Herbert thing. It's over. It's done. We have who we have. Yeah. And honestly, with the offensive line we have, if we had drafted Herbert, those particular fans would just be wanting to get rid of him.
Yep, absolutely agree. So we'll go with you first. What's your last year on September 24th, I stood in front of my Panther wall and told everybody the Panthers were going to win the Stanley Cup, and I didn't care what anybody had to say. I don't know if I have that strong of an opinion for the Dolphins, but Trey says what? Where does the train end this year for the Dolphins, and why?
God, man. It's so hard right now. I know this is I'm going to give a real answer, but it's so hard with the AFC right now.
Yeah.
Because everybody's in the AFC. Like if you look at, and I know quarterbacks aren't end all be all, but like if you look at the NFC, the second best quarterback after Jalen Hurts is who? Kirk Cousins, Derek Carr,
Stafford,
like someone in that area.
Stafford,
Maybe depending on his health.
Right. Yeah.
Like you could pretty much pencil the Eagles into the Super Bowl. They got to win like one game. They got to win one game in the playoffs, and it's almost like playing in the West in the NHL. You just got to win one series, and you're in the cup. Whereas in the East, you're gonna have to win every single series that you're playing. I know I sound like John Madden there, but I mean like you're gonna have to earn those wins. You don't get to just skate by. I always say all the teams in the West are just like another version of Toronto. Except for like Colorado plays like an East team, Vegas plays like an East team, but everybody else, they kind of all play like Toronto out there. And coincidentally, in the East, Toronto's the only one that plays like Toronto. I kind of feel that way with the AFC and NFC. I can pick a winner out west. Like, okay, it's gonna be Vegas or Colorado. I can pick a winner in the NFC. It's gonna be the Eagles. I have no idea with that AFC. But that being said, I think the Bills are winning the AFC.
Ooh, the AFC or the AFC East?
I think they're winning the AFC and the AFC East.
Wow.
Yeah, I think the Eagles are winning the Super Bowl. I think I'll go ahead and do that. I think it's going to be Eagles over Bills in the Super Bowl. With the Chiefs, I feel like at some point it's going to get to have played too many games. I'm talking about each year, right? When you're 20, 21 games a year.
Right.
Not having the horses that they should have. Eventually, that's going to happen where they just stumble in the second round somewhere. And I don't even know if you can call it stumbling in the AFC because in the second round, they're playing someone like Cincinnati. You know what I mean? Like, how is that a stumble?
Right.
So, now I just thought of Cincinnati. Shit, do I really want to stick with Buffalo winning the AFC? This is how I feel, man.
I know. The AFC is insane, man.
I'm going to stick with that. Eagles over Buffalo in the Super Bowl. And, hey, the hope is that I'm wrong, right?
Right. I got you.
That I'm wrong. If I go ahead and throw this out here, and I'm wrong.
Yeah.
Awesome. I just eliminated Buffalo.
Well, and that's what I talked about yesterday in the podcast when I talked about the Panthers prediction to win the cup. I said, normally you make a prediction, you're like, hey, I hope I'm wrong. But I had to go through the whole year, all the way up to Game 5 and the Cup Finals, going, God, I hope I'm right.
Mm-hmm.
All right, so I just got the same sense that I had that the Panthers were going to win the Cup. I think that Buffalo is going to fall off some, not a tremendous amount.
Hey,
and remember, the Panthers only got close to winning the Cup, right? They won a Cup game. I should have been more specific.
All I can say about Buffalo for my reasoning is I think it's their time. Like, that's all I got. So it's not a strong conviction at all. Like, anybody who's wanting to hammer me in the comments right now, it's not a strong conviction at all.
Why I feel Buffalo is going to fall off is I should rewind it. Allen reminds me of Marino in the following way. He can kill it in a regular season. If you were down 20 with 15 minutes left, you're like, watch this, son bitch. All right. Allen is great at that. Exactly. But every single year, with the exception of the 1 year that Marino got to the Super Bowl, we can blame the defense all we want. And for a lot of that was true. But untimely turnovers in the playoffs was Marino's specialty. As much as I love him to death, and I still feel like he was the best pure passer there ever was in the playoffs, whether it was his fault or not, whether he was trying to make too much happen, the same thing with Allen, right? You can say it's not his fault. He's got to drive down the field, but I get the same vibe. And there was, Marino came out and there was 2 or 3 years. So they were really, really good. And then they had 3 or 4 down years when they were just kind of 8-8. They were really ridiculously dangerous, but the defense couldn't stop anybody. Now Buffalo's got a better defense, but there's way different competition now in the AFC.
Right. Marino also, the Marx brothers were great, but Marino never has Stephon Diggs.
Right.
Oh man.
So in terms of making a prediction. I can't. Well, I'm not gonna pick the Eagles. I'm gonna pick the same team I picked last year until all their quarterbacks died, and that's the 49ers. Okay. That's the four. And I still say the 49ers would have won had Brock Purdy stayed, had any of the quarterbacks stayed healthy. If they had a living human at quarterback, I think they would have beat the Eagles.
They finished with Chris McCaffrey as their quarterback.
Yeah, that's a problem. Okay. I mean, there's an issue there. So I'm going to pick the 49ers in the East, man. Okay. So this is a Miami Dolphins NFL channel, right?
It is. I already broke that rule though.
But I could lie to everybody here and tell you the Dolphins, the Chiefs, or the Bengals. I could lie to you all and tell you that. But all my life experience, everything that I've seen in the NFL, everything I've seen as a Dolphins fan, everything I've seen tells me Jets. I don't like it any more than you do. But if I put all of my experiences into a computer and spit it out, and the way it smells, the way it looks like it's lining up, I would not put money a bet against the Jets, just because that's how it rolls for the Dolphins. So I'm thinking the Dolphins. This is on my unfortunate prediction. The Dolphins are going to win the division, and then get disappointed. They're going to kick us all in the nuts, losing to the Jets in the playoffs.
Why you got to be like that?
I can't help it.
They were on Hard Knocks. That's supposed to fuck up their season to begin with.
Nobody
goes on Hard Knocks and then goes to the playoffs.
I could lie and say something else, but if somebody gave me $100 and said it's free, but you have to place this bet, that would be the bet I would place. And for those of you who are new to watching me, I don't place my predictions and bets based on Aaron Rodgers and Tua or any of that crap. It's how do I feel? What does my gut tell me? And I almost got it right last year with the Panthers. I came almost as close as you can come without getting it right. I'm still not over that, but that's a different video.
I'm not
either. Yeah.
I don't know when
49ers over the Jets. I said it last year when the Dolphins were playing 49ers. And Brock Purdy came on because whoever it was that was playing that week got hurt. I think it was either Garoppolo or Lance. And so out comes Brock Purdy, Mr. Irrelevant. And Kyle sitting there next to me, and he goes, Brock Purdy. And I looked at him like, you son of a bitch. Don't laugh, dude. No. And first, not only did they beat us, but what I kept saying to Kyle was Brock Purdy, Super Bowl MVP. And I thought that was fixing to happen last year. So that's my.
He was pretty good in college. He was the quarterback with Breece Hall over there in Iowa State. Like he was. It was actually surprising that he was. I know that sounds ridiculous, like saying it now, like, oh, I knew the whole time, but no, it actually was kind of like, when he fell all the way to that. Not saying he should have been a first or second round pick, but like those flyers that teams will take in like the fourth round, like, oh, okay, this guy's either going to hold a clipboard or not. Like, he probably should have been in that cluster.
Right, he probably should have.
Right down the bottom of the draft.
Yeah. Okay. So there you go. That's my take. I think the Dolphins will win the division, but now we can win the division and maybe win a playoff game. I have a bad feeling about the Jets.
They need to, because if they win the division, that means they have a home playoff game.
Right, they have a home playoff game, and it would be
able to blame the cold or anything like that.
If you've been a Dolphin fan for more than 5 minutes, Dolphins Jets first Dolphins playoff home game in decades. There's no way I'm betting on the Dolphins. Just past history is what I'm going by. Now, when they break the pattern, okay. When they break the pattern and show me that they can do something different, Okay, when they can do something different other than, oh shucks, we almost beat Buffalo in the playoffs, right? When they can take that next step, then I will believe that they can take that next step. But until they do, I remain unconvinced karmically.
Right. That was probably the most unfortunate thing about not beating the Bills in the playoffs, because if you really think about it, considering what happened when we beat them in the regular season, we were a field goal away from Bills fans having blamed losses on the heat and the cold
And the goal
in the same season. We were a field goal away from the Bills' new stadium being a dome so that they don't lose in the cold anymore. And that would have just been amazing.
And, the last thing I'll say in regards to that is all that whining and bitching and complaining they did actually serve them, because there are no AFC East opponents that come to Miami for 1:00 September games. None at all.
Yeah, that's the real home field advantage right there is Miami.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. It doesn't matter who we play. If it's mid-September and it's going to be 100 degrees out there, I mean,
anybody bring Kansas City down here. Like, it does not matter.
Yeah, it doesn't matter. They can't breathe. So, All right. So that's what we got. So what's funny is we both talked about how awesome the AFC is, but we both picked NFC teams to win the Super Bowl.
There's a thing with that though. To compare it to the Cup again.
Yeah, exactly.
Look at how healthy Vegas was in the Cup. Look how banged up the Panthers were in the Cup. And the reason was one plays in the West and one plays in the East.
That's a really good point.
You get to the NFC, AFC playoffs, you get to the Super Bowl, that AFC team's going to be dismantled because they just went to the NFC. And the Eagles just played 3 college teams. Yeah, the NFC team's going to win the Super Bowl. And that's the thing when people try to compare conferences. This happens in college football all the time, right? Well, this conference is the best because they won the national championship. You're talking about the SEC, right?
Right.
That's one team.
Right.
That's one team.
Right.
Your depth of your conference, who's better, that's going to be based on your middle to bottom teams. The team that wins it all, that's just one team. So I've always thought the Big Ten has been the best conference this past decade or so because of that. But anyhow.
Oh, that's a good point. So, all right. So there you go. The Dolphins season preview has, do you have the Dolphins winning a playoff game? Are they making the playoffs? Have we gotten that far yet?
Yeah.
Okay, so we win a playoff game. Somehow, let's just avoid the Jets. We got to play the whole season to avoid the Jets in the postseason, because that's the one thing that if the Dolphins or the Jets in the playoffs, I have zero confidence. Not in Tua, not in the guys on the field, but in the karma of the franchise itself. I have zero confidence that we would have our first home playoff game in decades and beat the Jets of all teams. Patriots, beat them. Bills, beat them. Chiefs, Bengals, whoever the hell else, kick them right out. The Jets, they worry me. Because of what we talked about at the beginning. It doesn't matter, right? The players, right. It doesn't matter. It's depth sport.
They're going to win again.
Yeah. So, all right. There's your happy, not so happy Miami Dolphins season preview. Now, what is today? Today is Saturday. I'm gonna have my season preview. My season preview will be out next week. Then I start putting out the picks. I'll be having NFL picks. If you're interested in this channel, go to the community post that I made yesterday, and it lays out the schedule for what the videos are going to be. I'm going to be running this channel just like I do Flying Fluffy Hockey. Hit that subscribe button. Really appreciate all the support. And we'll see you again real soon. Thanks, Trey.
I'll be on the stream, and I will not be professional in the comments.
Gotcha.